Hip-hop fans are snobs, at least we are. We, like many other hip-hop listeners, are too often ready to quickly judge and dismiss albums and artists that are too pop-oriented or too explicit in some way, so you won't play them around your mom, your kids, or around your hip-hop purist friends, or for whatever other reason. For this list, we have selected 15 guilty pleasure hip-hop albums for us. That is, records that are best enjoyed in private or exclusively in select companies. If you have any hip-hop albums you listen to regularly that you consider guilty pleasures, share them in the comments. Too positive and clean for street-level hip-hop purists, Kid and Play was shunned by many when they dropped this album, even if it sold enough units to reach gold status. Admittedly, the subject matter is lightweight and safe, but thanks to Kid and Play's winning personalities, the album is also great fun. Two Live Crew's As Nasty as They Wanna Be is one of the first widely appreciated Southern hip-hop albums, and a trailblazing album in many ways. Luke Skywalker and his crew were frontrunners in the freedom of speech struggle, which in rap music was under threat from conservatives in the late 80s. Admittedly, the subject matter of Two Live Crew's music was controversial. To say the least, the album is almost exclusively made up of juvenile sexual explicitness, good fun for some, but apparently unbearable for people like free speech abolitionists. As Nasty as They Wanna Be was the first album in history to be deemed legally obscene. All the controversy didn't hurt the album's popularity, none of course. It eventually reached double platinum status. Whether you like the album or not, there's no denying the significance nor the classic status of As Nasty as They Wanna Be. Young MC never quite got the props he deserved for this album in hip-hop circles. Young MC was readily dismissed for being a pop rapper, but he definitely had skills. This debut album is just an all-around fun album, filled with radio-friendly but dope tracks composed of entertaining bars and great flows. You can pop it in today and enjoy the full album without having to skip a track. Stone Cold Rhymin' is good work. After the incredible success and impact of N.W.A.'s game-changing debut album Straight Outta Compton, and after the departure of the creative intelligence of Ice Cube, N.W.A. came back with FL4 Ziggin. FL4 Ziggin is hard to review. Musically, Dr. Dre reaches near perfection on the production side of things. Lyrically, however, the album is a step back when compared to N.W.A.'s epic debut. Gone is the authenticity and raw intelligence power of Straight Outta Compton. What's left are dumbed down, and sometimes downright silly lyrics, serving more to shock and cause controversy than anything else. The album is also let down by two rather annoying solo easy tracks and some dumb skits. To kill a hooker, really? But even taking into account these negatives, the album still is a thoroughly entertaining listen, a guilty pleasure. Sacramento's Bro the Lynch Hung is an incredibly underrated MC, who deserves props as one of the pioneers of the horrorcore subgenre. Season of Da Sickness is his full-length debut album, and like all albums on this list, definitely not for the faint of heart. Lock to Da Brain, Sick Made, Rest in Piss, and Welcome to Your Own Death are just a few of the standout tracks on this album. Lynch's great flow perfectly goes with the dark and sinister beats, entirely produced by Lynch himself. The album is filled with shockingly graphic, violent stories and images, but it is intelligent and even sometimes emotional at the same time. Season of Da Sickness may be hard to digest, but ultimately has to be considered an all-around classic. Ghetto D is the sixth studio album by New Orleans mogul Master P, his best album, and one of the flagship albums of his No Limit Records empire. This is an 80-minute masterpiece and a landmark album for Southern hip-hop. Guests appear on every song, and mostly they are the New Orleans No Limit Soul. The subject matter is kind of generic, but Master P and his guests make it sound good. Also thanks to the energetic production provided by the Beats by the Pound crew, who did most No Limit production. No Limit Records, together with Cash Money Records, opted for a quantity over quality business model that had them spamming the world with an endless stream of the same generic albums over and over again. But that doesn't mean there were some defining albums among them. This album, one of those. After the brilliant Dr. Octagon Ecologist that was released a year earlier, Kool Keith, with the help of Kutmasta Kurt on the boards, returns with Sex Style, presenting some awesomely ridiculous pornocore. Any other rapper, with the possible exception of MF Doom, would sound really stupid. It's only Kool Keith who can get away with doing an album like this and come out on top. The breakout album from 3 6 Mafia. The Memphis crew made a mainstream buzz with this album, which builds on their earlier releases, reprising 4 hits previously released on Mystic Styles 1995 and Chapter 1. The End 1996. Chapter 2 World Domination is filled with top-tier dark and hypnotic beats crafted by DJ Paul and Juicy J, and with cutthroat lyrical content. At 80+ minutes, this is a monster of an album, but it never overstays its welcome. Chapter 2 World Domination is a banger from start to finish. We like this album, even if lots of people don't. Kool Keith is angry on Matthew, and he does little more than spitting venom about whack commercial rappers over a batch of kind of admittedly not so strong beats he cooked up himself. But there is a certain charm to his anger here, and if you go in expecting no more than a bunch of rough around the edges instrumentals and a Kool Keith at his unfiltered, angriest, there are enough moments here to make you smile. Matthew is one of the most divisive albums in Kool Keith's catalog. Lots of fans love it, but this is definitely not the album to present to Kool Keith noobs. At least not if you want to get them interested in the rest of the man's music. Porn Again is an album by the Smut Peddlers, a group composed of Mr. Eon and DJ Mighty Me from the High and Mighty and Cage. The porn-themed content is pretty funny, and guest appearances of my favorites like Kool Keith, Kool G Rap, and provides the icing on the cake. Every Hog Has Its Day is not an album for the easily offended, or for those without a sense of humor. Quite different from J-Zone and Self-Titled's work outside this collaboration. Every Hog Has Its Day is kind of a concept album on which the duo explores something, how to be as misogynistic as possible, maybe. The blurb on their Bandcamp page may tell you something about what they're going on. Obviously intended as a comedic presentation, or maybe even as a parody of artists who do this kind of thing as if they mean it. Every Hog Has Its Day is nothing but harmless, if at times deeply offensive fun, with funky beats and humorous punchlines. A hate it or love it kind of album, probably, depending on the listener's sense of humor and ability to not take things all too seriously. Eminem is one of the biggest names in hip-hop ever, with one absolute classic, the Marshall Mathers LP on his name, and 2 albums that come close enough, the Slim Shady LP and the Eminem Show. The rest of his catalog is more miss than hit though. Even if Eminem's lyrical abilities are never in question, most of his other albums are usually plagued by weak beats, bad features, and corny hooks. That said, Eminem tends to be overhated by a lot of people, because his output besides his 3 classics is not all bad. Relapse is an example of an Eminem album that received much more hate than it deserved. There are no misplaced popstar features here. The hooks are mostly okay, as are the beats. The dark, horrorcore concept works, and M's pen game and lyrical skill are unbeatable. Relapse is a great album, and easily Eminem's best behind the 3 classics. Flockavelli is a pivotal album, the ultimate crunk album that also helped determine the direction of the trap subgenre. Everything released before Flockavelli can be seen as pre-trap, and everything released since as post-trap. Perhaps this is overstating the significance of Flockavelli, but the fact is that this turned out to be a hugely influential album, a game changer that set the groundwork for the next generation of trap artists. Waka Flocka Flame is not the best songwriter nor the best lyricist to ever pick up a pen and a mic, but it's his infectious energy and charisma that elevates Flockavelli to that next level. Bombastic bass-heavy beats, sharp synths, and aggressive rapping. This is a fun album full of bangers that are aging really well. Little Ugly Man is one of the many aliases of Richmond, Virginia's producer or rapper Travis Miller. The surface has to be scratched to see what's going on and what Travis Miller set out to do here. The cover art obviously is a play on the terrible aesthetics used to market the bland rap drivel that used to come out of the No Limit and Cash Money rap factories, as is the album's title. The Little Ugly Mane stage name can be seen as a stab at all the other lil rappers and other gangster rap or trap artists who all drop the same kind of generic dumbass projects, talking about the exact same things time and time again: bitches, hoes, money, cars, drugs, guns, murder, etc. Little Ugly Mane does the same here, but he makes a caricature of it. So to think Little Ugly Mane is just one of the many trap clones definitely would be wrong, even if first glances would suggest him to be exactly that. What Little Ugly Mane does is take the gangster rap and trap trappings and turn them on their head. There is a thin line between silliness and dark comedy, but Little Ugly Mane succeeds in staying on the right side of that line throughout this album, through Little Ugly Mane's over-the-top lyrical imagery. Rodeo is Houston rapper Travis Scott's long-awaited debut album following his first two mixtapes, Al Faro and Days Before Rodeo. The album features guest appearances from Future, Juicy J, and many others. Rodeo is something special, bold in experimentation, and unlike anything else heard before or since in the trap genre, which is often plagued by genericness. Rodeo's futuristic and psychedelic vibes are captivating. The dark and artsy production is phenomenal, and most of the vocal contributions go well with the musical backdrops. Also, Travis Scott is one of the rare artists who manages to utilize auto-tune as an instrument, not as a tool to hide the lack of skill. This is the go-to album for other hip-hop traditionalists who are ready to step over their shadows and give trap a chance. Thank you so much for watching the entire countdown. Please leave a like and subscribe. Peace.